Welcome everyone to the New Fly Fisher. I'm your host, Bill Spicer. On this week's show, we're in Ontario's beautiful North Country, guest of Frank Charbonneau and Totmenai Lodge. Our quarry for this week, smallmouth bass. We'll talk about equipment, flies, and techniques. And conditions are perfect for topwater action right now, so I'm going to be trying them on poppers. It's going to be a fun show, folks, so stay with us. We'll be right back.
Let him go back to live another day.
And away he goes. Great fish. Wow.
Oh, baby. Look at that fish.
Stop, wiggle on the way down.
The New Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to Algoma Kinawabi Travel Association, Ontario Tourism, Islander Precision Reels, and Orvis Sporting Traditions.
This week we visit Totmenai Lodge on Manitowoc Lake, located 142 miles north of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. These waters offer some of the best walleye, northern pike, smallmouth bass, and lake trout fishing in northern Ontario. Our host is Frank Charbonneau, an easygoing and very knowledgeable outdoorsman who always has sage advice when it comes to fishing and hunting. My guide is Frank's son, Rolly Charbonneau, whom has been a guide on this lake system for years and knows it completely. Instead of driving to the lodge, we decided to take the Algoma Central Railway out of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario to our destination. This railway provides the outdoor enthusiasts access to incredible wilderness opportunities. The advantage to taking the train is you can load all your gear, canoes, kayaks, backpacks, whatever your adventure requires, into the railway baggage car and travel to remote drop-off points along the rail line. We had a very relaxing ride to mile 165 and got off at Hawk Junction, where we were met up by Frank Charbonneau, and after a short car ride, we made it to the lodge. Now, the technique that I'm using here with a popper, you cast it out like so. Get it out there. Now, you must leave it until the rings dissipate. From when it's set down, once they dissipate, then pop it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Just about set it into your face, Brian. Sorry. Oh, it's a good fish, too.
Right on.
You're dead right, Rolly. Got a little bit of shallower water here, and this guy's coming up. A little bit of shallower water. Decided to put on a popper. And we have perfect conditions for poppers right now. The water is dead calm. So anything that makes noise, it's gonna echo right through the whole bay. So, oh, it's a good fish. Yeah. It's a very nice fish. Anybody's standards is a nice fish. I gotta get him away from this log. Oh boy, look at him.
You don't want to come in.
Wowee. Very nice fish. And I picked a black colored one. Here he comes. Black colored popper because of the color of the sky. I love poppers and smallmouth. They just seem to go together. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, now look at that. Now that's about as nice a smallmouth as you're gonna find. Perfect set in there. That is 15 inches, maybe 16 at the most. But very nice fish, very nice fish. Now, let him go. Oh, and away he goes. that was a professional release. Anyway, that's number one. It's the first evening we're here. The water's calm, so we had to play around. I've tried fishing deep, I've tried fishing a little bit higher. Rolly suggested we come into this bay that he knew that there would be some fish, so we decided to go with a popper, and it worked. I've been 5 minutes with this popper, so I'm gonna try that again. Check my knot, like always, especially after you get a good fish like that, double check your knots. And that's just take your finger and run it along there. And that seems to be good. I can go along with this knot again. If you got any nicks, you'll feel it in your finger. If you got any kind of nicks, retie. Break it off and retie. Otherwise, you're gonna lose a big fish.
Only 10% of the water at any given time possesses a combination of ideal characteristics such as temperature, oxygen content, structure, food, and cover that bass will be seeking under prevailing water and weather conditions. The overwhelming majority of bass will be found in that 10% of the water. When trying to locate any bass, you must think structure. This structure may be an underwater hump, the edge of a weed line, a felled tree or brush pile, an isolated rock, or anything man-made such as a dock. Bass are extremely object-orientated. There's a saying, you may find structure that is not holding bass, but you will never find a bass without structure.
This is our 26th season this year. Started the lodge up, bought it as a camp that was retired from a gentleman out of Chicago, and it used to be called Kanika Lodge. There was no business with it or equipment, or there was a lot of work to be done with the camp. And so what I decided to do is start afresh, name it a new name, something original to the area, like Totmenai. It's the name of a chief, the last Ojibwe chief that reigned in this area and gave all this land away to the British in the 1800s. So the waterways that we're on right now is on the old Voyager canoe route that goes all the way to Hudson Bay. So I thought that was appropriate to name the lodge Totmenai Lodge.
There we go. Oh, missed him. Missed him. But that's okay. That's okay. I don't think he tasted it. Hopefully he'll come back. Woo-hee. Something after. Right, did you see it come out? He come out. That thing came 10 feet. That thing came 10 feet out of that. I seen the wake of that fish coming. Oh yes, I'm having a great time here. Topwater action in the evening after supper. Fantastic. Fantastic. I seen that fish come. I seen the wake come. Oh yeah, I don't think he's quite as big as the other ones, but boy, oh boy, he wanted that. Yes, sir. Boy. Oh yeah, I like this area you brought us there, Rolly. I like it a lot.
We got him on the second take.
On the second take, here we go. There. Now that's a smaller fish, but still, it's a decent fish. Oh yeah, that I seen come out of the wood. There was a wake behind my fly, and I think I said, here he comes. That was fantastic. Oh yeah. Oh, and away he goes. Oh. Now I gotta check my knot again. Again, I say that a lot, but I can't stress it enough. Check your knot every time you catch a fish, because you could have put a nick in it, and then that'll be the time that you get the biggest fish of your life, and you'll lose it because of that.
"95% of any bass food normally consists of frogs, minnows, crayfish, and large mayflies. Size does not seem to matter at times, as aggressive bass quite often attack large bait. When smallmouth bass are actively feeding, they will go into the weed beds and herd the bait fish out into the open and ball them up on the surface. When this happens, the action can be outstanding as the competition among the fish is high. If you lose one fish, immediately place your fly back in the same spot. This can result in another fish taking your fly.
The flies needed when coming to Totmenai are a wide variety of streamer-type patterns, your minnows, clouser minnows, deceivers as such, a variety of leech patterns, and poppers. Here are the best flies that we used on this trip.
The most effective flies for this trip were large foam frog poppers, green balsa wood poppers, and when the clouds cover the sky, black balsa wood poppers.
I've been coming here about probably five years with my son, Matt. Heard about this from a friend of mine who has been coming here for probably about 8 or 9 years. And came up the first year and fell in love with the place. And so we've been coming back ever since. There's a saying that it's God's country maybe, but this is really, I think, a very unique location. I come from Michigan, which we have woods and forests, and we have a lot of inland lakes. But to come to an area like this, where it's pretty much in the wild, you see wildlife all the time. You'll hear loons. We've seen some bear. See a lot of beaver. Seen eagles nest up at Stony Falls. So there's a lot of wildlife. It's a beautiful area. The nature part of it is phenomenal. Sunsets we've been up here and we've seen the northern lights. Sometimes you get some rain, but Frank will tell you, bring your rain gear and you might need it, and if you bring it, you might not need it. So, the weather conditions are, have always been good for us, no matter what.
The rods that are recommended for most bass fishing are in the 7 to 8 weight categories. Fast tapers with stout butt sections are needed for casting large, wind-resistant flies and for quickly moving the fish out of heavy covers such as weeds or brush. Quality reels with smooth drag systems are also recommended, as bass are known to be a very hard fighting fish. Today, I'm using a floating line, but conditions can change, and in order to meet the demands of those changing conditions, you might also consider using a sink tip line, an intermediate sinking line, or a full sinking line. Through experimentation to find out where in the water column the fish are will determine what line you use. There is also specialty lines specifically engineered for bass. Comparing a normal weight forward floating line with a specialty bass taper line, you notice the line combines an aggressive, short bullet-shaped forward taper. This taper was designed for casting and turning over large, wind-resistant bass flies.
I got a log sticking up, or an old tree branch. I'm gonna stick it right over by there. Yes, sir, and it's a good one too. I didn't even move it. I was just getting ready to put it under my finger. Yeah. Yes, sir. Rolly called it again, right by that log. And I hadn't even stripped it once. It just landed. I was waiting for the rings to dissipate, and he hit it anyways. Boy, he's really shaking his head. It's another good fish. Really nice fish, actually. Now, I say this about every show. If you combine presentation with the right fly in the right place, you have success. It's darky, it's hard to see. There we got him.
Hey, bigger than the other one.
Bigger than the other one, yes, sir. Man, this is a hog.
Yeah.
This is a hog, and he took it right down. Wowee. Now look at this, folks.
Take my fly out. Look at this, folks. Now, that is a 17-inch smallmouth. We're doing well. Wow-wee. On topwater flies, which makes it that much more fun. Oh man, he's that thick. Oh, I am tickled pink with that. Tickled pink with that. And away he goes. Yes, sir. Again, proper presentation, the right fly, put it in the right spot, success. Now, I've been casting all day with this popper and also with my other equipment. When you've been casting a long time, make a habit of checking each section of your rod. They do work loose. All the torque of casting forces them to work loose, and what can happen is the rod will come apart, and right at this section, the female section, it'll crack, and now that virtually is a broken rod then. So just double check to make sure all your sections are together and tight, then go on casting. Check every couple hours or so of casting, and you should be fine then. When you have a cold front situation, you must remember that smallmouth bass will hold tight to structure. Structures such as submerged trees and rock piles will definitely be hot spots for fish. The setup we are using today is a bass taper floating line to a 9-foot leader tapered to a 3X tippet and then the popper. Alternative setups for streamers would be an intermediate sinking line to a 4-foot section of 12-pound test and then the streamer, or a full sinking line to a 4-foot section of 12-pound test and then the streamer.
The reason why I bought my lodge is I'm an outdoors person to start with, and I love the outdoors. I worked inside for 20 years, and I prefer the outdoors. The North Shore of Lake Superior is probably one of the prettiest drives in Ontario, in Northern Ontario, that 140-mile stretch. This lake here is a glacier-cut lake between two mountains. It's 34 miles long, and it's just awesome. The scenery is awesome, and it doesn't matter if you come spring, summer, or fall, you're going to get some really good scenery and good pictures if you're into that. And the serenity and the quietness up here, even though it's a drive-in lodge, it's very remote.
Research shows that 10% of the anglers catch about 80% of the bass, and mostly heavier specimens. The winners are the anglers with the best technique. Always be willing to learn from the masters of bass fishing. Watch as Ken Collins shows Bill Spicer a unique way of presenting a crayfish pattern.
Presentation. If these fish are lethargic and down, then what we're going to do is we're going to hop a vertical crayfish presentation through them. And what we're going to do is you just line up where you want to go with this indicator there, Bill. So you toss one out there, and then you mend if you need to, if it's not that currenty. And then you're just going to tap that indicator at a good crayfish pace, looking for indications at bottom as you tap it, and tap it, and tap it, and tap it, and tap it. And what's going to happen on a strike is that indicator just isn't going to come back up. That indicator's going to stay down. Okay. And then just set it up. So I'm going to switch your rods. I'll take care of this.
This is a new technique for me.
Yeah, this is vertical streamer fishing, I call it. Roll cast starts are better because they're quite weighted systems. And just let it plug. Again, that's a custom-made line for roll casting perfection.
Not a very big one again. Ken calls it frog water, which is pretty much dead water over here. They don't seem to want to be out in the current at all.
It's still just too high.
But again, with an indicator. Now this is different for me with smallmouth, fishing with an indicator. It's definitely different. You twitch the rod. Oh,
that's not a bad fish. That's 16.
Yeah, it's not a bad fish. You twitch it, not like a dead drift that you were used to with nymphs. Yeah, you certainly, look at how much he's bent this rod.
There we go. Very, very good.
But he's a decent average. Again, crayfish right in the yap,
Crayfish right in
on
the
the
yap.
top. Oh, he had it skinny hooked though. Look at this. Look how skinny hooked he had that. That was just about to be lost.
That was a good aggressive grab. Back out, it's evening, again. Oh, and I got a good fish here. Oh yes, I got a real nice fish here. I better get him on the reel. Real nice fish here. It's the evening, and we're back out with poppers. We had a hellacious thunderstorm today, which made me a little concerned whether the fishing was gonna be good, and that's a good loss, but that was a good fish. That was a nice fish, wasn't it, Rolly?
It was so.
It was a real nice fish. I can't say enough. Aggressive fish. I'm trying to get them. We're around down trees, any kind of cover. It's working. Like I said, we had a hellacious thunderstorm today, which we couldn't get out at all. But now it's opened up the skies, and I think the fish are still on the bite. So let's try that again. Wowee, that was a good fish.
Bass and other fish react to bright sky and high pressure by going deep and getting real tight to cover. They also get inactive. This was obvious as the day continued and the fishing got tougher and tougher. Unfortunately, time was short and I had to end our stay and was unable to change tactics. My stay at Totmenai Lodge was outstanding, and I highly recommend you call Frank Charbonneau for your next vacation. For more information on this show and others in our series, visit us on the net at thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us here at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us. Tight lines, and we'll see you next time.
The New Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to Algoma Kinawabi Travel Association, Ontario Tourism, Islander Precision Reels, and Orvis Sporting Traditions.